Now on CoastTV News.
One woman trapped, a three-car crash that first responders say sent 2 people to the hospital. Millions at risk, losing food assistance, and how a federal judge's ruling could help. Health insurance costs, the heart of the government shutdown fight that could cost Delawareans more.
It was a breezy start to the month of November with lighter winds, warmer conditions Sunday, a chance for rain Monday. Remember, clocks go back 1 hour tonight. Details coming up.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Emma Aiken. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. New tonight, Delaware State Police are investigating a car crash that left 1 man dead Friday night in Harrington. Troopers say the crash happened on South DuPont Highway near Tower Road. Police say a Ford Fusion traveling north entered a crossover to make a left turn onto Tower Hill Road and crossed into the path of a southbound Infiniti. According to DSP, the Infiniti then struck the passenger side of the Ford, sending the Ford off the road and into a utility pole. The driver of the Ford was a 64-year-old Milford man who was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. On your screen now is where a car accident happened Friday afternoon, according to the Indian River Volunteer Fire Company. It's the area of Hollymount Road and Scotty Run in Harbeson. First responders say a Cadillac sedan hit a Dodge Durango and a Dodge Charger, resulting in 1 woman trapped in the Charger. According to the fire company, 1 person was taken by ambulance and another person was flown to the hospital. Delaware State Police say shots were fired in Seaford Friday night following a fight. On your screen now is the location where police say these shots were fired outside the Veterans of Foreign Wars Virgil Wilson Post on Milford Road in Seaford. According to DSP, at the end of an event, a fight broke out between several people in the parking lot. Moments later, multiple gunshots were heard in the area. Police say no injuries were reported as a result of the gunshots. Now we'll take a live look into Dover. Our first alert meteorologist, Bob Trihey, joins us. Bob, it's a little breezy out there, but overall, pretty nice start to November.
Yeah, absolutely, Emma. Beautiful start to November and the weekend. It was breezy, but now those winds are dying down. We're seeing clear skies and temperatures are tumbling now. Lower 40s inland areas, Delmar, Gumboro 42, Millsboro 43, 50 at Rehoboth Beach. And I think we could see some patchy frost inland areas as we go into tomorrow morning as the winds are finally calming down. They were pretty breezy today. And we're looking at the satellite picture. Lots of clear skies, but it has that white look to it. That's the cool air reflecting back to space as we have mostly clear skies. High pressure still hanging on, so we are looking at a chilly night on the way, and a system well back to our west brings a chance for rain into Monday. Temperatures falling through the 40s on Futurecast by 5:30, some upper 30s inland. That's where we could see a frosty start tomorrow. Otherwise 40s and 50s, and then milder conditions heading into noon on Sunday. As we're looking at your day part forecast, 40s out the door, even some upper 30s, and then we're looking at temperatures in the mid 60s. And remember, the clocks go back 1 hour. I'll talk about that and rain chances into Monday in my full forecast a little bit later on.
Thank you, Bob. Moving on now to the real-world consequences of the government shutdown affecting millions. That is the suspension of federal food assistance set to take place today. NBC's Liz Kruitz reports on how families are left scrambling.
Tonight, from Arizona to Florida, long lines at food banks, a sign of the fear and confusion facing the 42 million people at risk of losing federal food assistance. The Trump administration had said funding for SNAP benefits would run out tomorrow because of the government shutdown. But today, a federal judge now ruling the administration must continue to pay for the food aid program using contingency funds as soon as possible. How fast that can happen is unclear, and so millions, like the Leal family, remain stuck in limbo.
What can we say? It's unfair what they're doing. Very unfair.
Jocelyn and Jose waited more than an hour in 90-degree heat at this Los Angeles Salvation Army for a few boxes of food for them and their 5 children, including their 10-month-old twins. The couple says Jose's work as a contractor has been slow and that Jocelyn wants to go back to work, but they can't afford childcare. And so they rely heavily on the $750 a month they get in SNAP benefits.
How frustrating is all of this?
Highly frustrating. It's like being in a hole and not being able to dig yourself out. They've been saying that the cost of groceries are going to go down, and from what we see, it's just going higher and higher.
And they're not alone. Many of the people we met in line this week said it was the first time they turned to a food bank for help.
We're shattering records that you don't want to shatter. We had 803 families all alone last week, and we're going to pass that.
Tonight, President Trump pointing fingers at Democrats.
When you're talking about SNAP, if you look, it's largely Democrats. They're hurting their own people.
But it's not that simple. The 5 states with the highest percentage of SNAP recipients are both blue and red.
Well, I think it's a disgrace. The USDA has never done this in the past. They said they have a contingency fund for precisely this moment.
For Jocelyn and her family,
It's a lot.
the impact is far greater than politics.
They should stop with excuses and actually do what's right. It's not that we want to be here. It's that we have to try and find a way for our kids. We have to find a way.
More locally, earlier this week, Delaware Governor Matt Meyer announced a state of emergency to allow weekly state funding for SNAP recipients. It's in the face of the funding lapse caused by the shutdown. Meyer said the program could run out of money, though, if the government doesn't reopen. Delaware's plan will cover the cost of the program through the month of November. And Thursday, Maryland Governor Wes Moore declared a state of emergency due to the expected federal pause on funding for food stamps. Moore says $10 million will be allocated to food banks across Maryland to alleviate the possible scarcity once SNAP benefits run out. Governor Moore previously said Maryland would not cover the loss of SNAP funding, arguing the state had no guarantee the Trump administration would reimburse for the expenses. And now back to Delaware. Governor Meyer has called an extraordinary session of the General Assembly to address a projected budget shortfall. A report from the Delaware Economic and Financial Advisory Council projects a $400 million revenue gap over the next 3 years. Officials say the shortfall is linked to the federal tax changes that also affect Delaware's tax code. The General Assembly is scheduled to return to Dover on Thursday, November 13th at noon to discuss possible solutions, including a proposal to decouple Delaware's tax code from federal law. In Delaware, there are about 50,000 people enrolled in the Affordable Care Act. The Delaware Healthcare Association says if these subsidies expire, it will cost more and hospital wait times will get longer for everyone. The association says the ripple effects are huge and that the move could put a strain on the entire Delaware healthcare system. Carolyn Green says she's scared for her family members who use Obamacare.
That they won't be able to pay their bills completely. And the worry and the stress it puts on them.
Christina Bryan with the Delaware Healthcare Association says thousands of Delawareans could be paying more for health insurance and health care.
This will put a strain on our hospitals. We'll see even longer emergency department wait times. We'll see a strain on our healthcare workforce because they're going to see higher volumes of patients that have more complex needs and worse conditions.
And Brian says a lot of people could be out of health insurance altogether.
If your health insurance costs are going up, that is a big concern that some may choose just to avoid it altogether. And we're just very concerned with the impact that will have on Delawareans' health. If you don't have health coverage, you're probably not going to see your doctor. You're not going to go and get your diabetes managed or go get a mammogram or whatever type of preventative care that you may need.
These subsidies will expire at the end of 2025 unless Congress comes to a compromise. And this all comes after prices for next year's Obamacare health insurance plans became public this week. The change you can see depends on where people live, how old they are, and what they earn. Extending the subsidies would cost the federal government around $23 billion next year. That is according to the Congressional Budget Office. And this brings us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know, what's your biggest healthcare worry about increasing costs? Let's take a look at the updated results from the last news hour. So far, 87% of you saying expensive monthly premium, 3% saying surprise bills, 6% saying prescription drug prices, and 4% saying emergency care. And if you haven't voted yet, you still can at coasttv.com or on the mobile app. Senator Chris Van Hollen and other state leaders joined labor and environmental groups in Baltimore Friday, rallying to protect the state's offshore wind projects. The push comes as federal approvals for U.S. winds planned for 114 turbines off Ocean City's coast face possible rollback by the Trump administration. Supporters say the projects could power more than 600,000 homes, create thousands of union jobs, and deliver hundreds of millions in local investment.
We are here to say yes to reducing costs to consumers, yes to good paying jobs, and yes to doing it in a way that protects our environment and the health of Marylanders and the American people.
But not everyone's on board. Critics in Ocean City and Worcester County say the turbines could hurt tourism and fishing and even raise power bills. They argue the projects were pushed through too quickly and that risks to local jobs and marine life outweigh the rewards. We are just getting started here on Coast TV News at 11. Coming up later, Trump warns action, what the president is saying to the Nigerian government.
It was a breezy start to the weekend. Temperatures where they should be this time of year. 62 the high, 43 the low. Normal's now 64 and 43. It's that time of year once again to set the clocks back. I'll have details on that, plus a rainy start to the work week in my full forecast a little bit later on.
But first, beach towns underwater and states of emergency amid the government shutdown. We have a recap from the week here on Delmarva when we're back in just 60 seconds. From flooded roads to political resignations, there was a lot going on this week here on the coast. Charlie Sakaitis has a look at our week in review.
Monday, Jeff Balk resigned from his position as chair of the Sussex County Democratic Party. The resignation coming after news broke that Balk was convicted of sodomy in Missouri in the 1980s, where he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. We have more details from this story on CoastTV.com. Tuesday, a state trooper charged with lying after the state says he assaulted a man earlier this year. According to Delaware State Police, 53-year-old William Walker has been suspended with pay and benefits since February 4th after an altercation at Nicola's Pizza in Lewis. Wednesday, with SNAP benefits set to run out on Saturday, the state of Delaware taking action. Governor Matt Meyer announced a state of emergency to allow weekly state funding for SNAP recipients. Maryland followed suit with their own declaration just one day later. Thursday, flooding from an overnight storm left a number of beach towns underwater in some places. In Ocean City, crews were busy pushing sand that washed into the inlet parking lot back onto the beach. Friday in Maryland, state and federal officials headed to Baltimore to make a push to expand wind energy. It was hailed as a day of action for offshore wind. For your Week in Review, I'm Charlie Sakaitis.
Hotel tax hike, why people in Ocean City are split on the potential 1% raise. And coming up next, Bob Trihey is in the Coast TV First Alert Weather Center. Looks like a nice Sunday, but maybe some rain to start the new work week. He has your full forecast after this.
If you take the wind out of the occasion, it was a pretty nice start to the month of November. We had the sunshine and temperatures close to average. Georgetown 62, Dover 66, Easton 63, Ocean City at 64. And it's that time of year. I know a lot of folks don't like to do it, but we have to turn the clocks back tonight at 2 a.m. or before you go to bed as daylight saving time comes to an end. You want to test your smoke alarms too and make sure the batteries are fresh, and the same in the carbon monoxide detectors as well. And you get that extra hour of sleep. That'll be nice too. But the sun sets earlier, so new sunrise is 6:29 tomorrow morning, and it sets at 4:59, so pretty much pitch black by the time we get to about 5:15. Here's our storyline for Sunday. I think we could see a little bit of frost possible early hours, inland areas, otherwise not as breezy, a bit warmer, highs into the 60s. And then Monday, we're going to see a sneaky system come in with showers, not a washout, maybe up to about a 1/4 inch of rain. But right now it's clear, it's calm, and temperatures dipping quickly. 42 in Delmar and Gumboro, 42 in Laurel. Might want to cover or bring in the plants just in case away from the coast for that touch of frost. frost and low 50s at the beaches as the winds are finally calming down. They were gusting today up to about 25 miles per hour. We're looking at lots of clear skies right now. A few clouds back to the west along the I-95 corridor. Those could possibly slide in tomorrow, but we still have high pressure in place. But we are watching this system across the Ohio Valley. That will bring us that chance of rain as we go into your Monday. Let's walk you through it on Futurecast midnight. We're falling through the 40s, some upper 30s, and once again that touch of frost well inland tomorrow morning. Otherwise a chilly start, and then by noon we're in the low 60s, and I think by about 1:30 around 64 in Salisbury, 62 in Millsboro, upper 50s at the coast. Now we see an easterly wind, temperatures falling through the 50s, and by 8 p.m. I think we're looking at increasing clouds. Then showers start to build in tomorrow night. Nothing especially heavy, but here's 6 a.m. Could be a wet commute as we go into your Monday morning with the system coming up the coast. And then by 9:30, still pockets of showers. And that's the case too around 2:30, maybe lingering showers by 6:30, and then that system starts to move out. I'm thinking about a 10 to about a quarter inch of rain. This particular model has higher amounts, about a half inch or so, but I think a little less than that. But your Sunday looking good. Lewis 64, Rehoboth 62, Ocean City 64, Chincoteague around 64 degrees. Tonight 39, remember, clocks go back 1 hour and some of that patchy frost inland areas, and then 65 tomorrow, mostly sunny and warmer. Good looking Sunday. Paul Davis 7-day forecast. There's that rain chance Monday, and then real mild by Wednesday, 67. Another cool down by Thursday, upper 30s Friday morning, and right now a milder start to Saturday and next weekend with a high of 66.
The Ocean City Council has asked the county to increase the hotel room tax from 5% to 6%. CoastTV News reporter Kevin Zappé shows us how much more that will cost visitors and what people think about the plan.
Anita Abbott spent the night in Ocean City to enjoy the town and check out the cool waves. But when she heard about a possible hotel room tax hike, her excitement quickly turned to concern.
It's a shame that we have to raise taxes. You know, it's a real shame this time. You know, a lot of people are struggling.
The Ocean City Council has asked the Worcester County Commissioners to increase the county's hotel room tax from 5% to 6%. We sat down with Hotel Motel Restaurant Association Director Susan Jones to talk about what that would mean practically. Jones says that 1% change could generate around $5 million for the town.
The amount of money that's generated from room tax really goes a long way to helping fund a lot of those general fund expenses, like the lifeguards and police and fire, EMS. And it also goes to the tourism marketing and advertising and things that are needed by that tourism department.
Jones believes the hike would help the town keep up with rising costs and extended tourism seasons.
Residents are not paying that. It would be the visitors that would be paying that. And it would not be a huge change. It might be $1 a night.
While some believe this could steer people away from the coastal town, Abbott says the small change won't stop vacationers from coming.
I really don't think it's going to make a huge difference for people that are coming in during the summertime. I think they're going to come no matter what and going to pay no matter what.
The Ocean City Council hopes to have the tax increase in place by January 1st, giving hotel and motel operators a chance to have a new room rate in place before summer 2026 season. I'm Kevin Zappé in Ocean City, CoastTV News.
After the break here on CoastTV News at 11, new suspects charged, the latest on the Louvre heists that left millions of dollars in jewels stolen. And Demolition Day looming when the classic Dolly's and other Rehoboth Avenue stores will be torn down. That's up next on CoastTV News at 11. In Rehoboth Beach, you can see demolition signs up on multiple buildings on Rehoboth Avenue. The Zelkis, Core Bros, and most notably, the old Dolly's building. The Rehoboth Beach Communications Manager says the developers are going back to the next Planning Commission meeting on November 14th, and after that, the city will meet again to discuss when the demolition will start. This is to make room for the One Rehoboth Avenue Hotel, which will have 4 levels and 60 hotel rooms and retail space on the first floor. Some people we spoke with are sad to see the building go, while others say this will be a financial boost.
It's hard for people, I'll be 70 in a couple of years, and to watch all this change is really, it's crazy.
According to a Paris prosecutor, 2 new suspects have been given preliminary charges for their alleged involvement in the heist at the Louvre Museum last month. The prosecutor said in a statement that one of the suspects, a 37-year-old male, was known to authorities for previous thefts and was charged with theft by an organized gang and criminal conspiracy. The second suspect, a 38-year-old woman, is accused of being an accomplice. Both have denied any involvement in the theft. 2 other suspects were charged earlier this week. The heist at the Louvre took place on October 19th as the museum was opening, and around $102 million of jewels were stolen and have not been recovered. President Trump has told the Defense Department to prepare for possible action against Nigeria for allowing the killing of Christians. In a social media post, Trump says if Nigeria does not stop the killing, he will stop all aid and may take action with, quote, guns a-blazing to wipe out Islamic terrorists who are committing the horrible acts. Trump then wrote, the Nigerian government better move fast. A few hours later, Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took to X to respond, saying, quote, the characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality, and that they are, quote, committed to working with the United States to deepen understanding and cooperation on protection of communities of all faiths. According to the International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law, a Nigerian-based research group, more than 52,000 Christians living in Nigeria have been killed since 2009. Coming up on Sunday Night Football this week, tune in as the Washington Commanders host the Seattle Seahawks. Then stay right here after the game for CoastTV News. And after the break here on CoastTV News at 11, as we take a live look into Ocean City, we have a final check on your forecast. CoastTV News continues in just a few moments.
Remember, clocks go back 1 hour tonight as we gain an extra hour of sleep. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow morning in the 40s. Some areas seeing some frost well inland, and then a nice warm up with light winds in the afternoon. Temperatures into the 60s, a high right around 65. And with the clocks going back 1 hour, sunrise 6:29, and it sets around 5 p.m. On Monday, we're looking at 63 with a good chance of rain, and then Wednesday, 67, and then it cools down again by Thursday around 60, and by the end of the week, looking mild, and into next weekend, dry Saturday, and a chance of rain by Sunday, then much cooler after that. And Em, it always takes time to get used to the clocks going back 1 hour.
Yeah, something you got to get used to. I'm not a morning person already, but I feel like the sun rising earlier might help wake up coming through the blinds. But
yeah, and then getting darker earlier at night is
never great.
No.
Well, thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. Saturday Night Live starts right now. Have a great night.